person, Donna Stevenson, to our group. Is that correct?
Thank you. Yes, that's Donna.
Glad to have you with us.
Pardon
And
me?
at this time, we will go to approval of minutes from our February 4th meeting. And if you haven't had a chance to look over, take a quick look at them right now.
I have a question. I've already mentioned it to her, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Ms. McMillan was in the February meeting because her time was up in December, correct?
I didn't see her.
And I don't think she was here. And then, and I thought that the reason with her, shouldn't Ms. Weeks now not be an alternate? Ms. Weeks is not an alternate. It's just Mr. Cottle and Ms. Stedman. Ms. Weeks is now just a regular member.
Correct, but I think during February, she would still remain an alternate. But Ms.
Okay.
Judith McMillan, you're right, her term was up in December. That's just a carryover. I
Okay.
apologize.
Does anybody else see any corrections that need to be made at this time?
But we'll correct all of the member status and presence on those minutes.
I make a motion that the February 4th, 2020 minutes with just a change of who was present be approved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
Is there any discussion of the minutes at this point? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Thank you. At this point in time, we'll have a request for a certificate of appropriateness, and I'll turn this back over to Ms. Collins.
Good evening. Your item before you tonight is CA 520. It's coming to you from Jason Pate, and the property is located at 108 North Carolina Street. That is on the east side of North Carolina Street between Walnut and Mulberry Streets, and the property is zoned Office and Institutional 1. The map you do have in your agenda packets, if you couldn't see it that clearly on the screen. The applicant is requesting to demo the dwelling. This is a street elevation. This is what it looks like as of today. I took these pictures this morning. The applicant owns this property as well as the business adjacent to it, and is requesting to demo it with regards to he has no intentions for renovations for single-family residential use. Over a period of time, I believe since he has owned it, it has been an issue with vagrants occupying the property, so his desire is to clean the property to ensure that it's maintained and free of vagrants. There is no, and the applicant's present, so you'll have a chance to speak with him as well. But there is no, other than just maintaining it as a vacant lot, the city has known to, has not been told that there's been any kind of construction or proposed use for the property, other than just cleaning it up. With regards to the significance in the historic district, the structure is not significant within the historic district. It was deemed contributing, so it had some contributing factors, but it was not deemed as a significant structure within our historic district. When I reference that guidance with regards to if the structure is significant or not, this is the map in which was done many, many, many years ago based on our existing district and the structures that at that time that the state deemed significant or not. I don't know that our little pointer, I don't know if it shows up. Yeah, so this structure is right there. So it shows up as a contributing structure. This is Union Station. That one is on the National Register, which is why it's black. Anything within, you see a hatched area, red, that is significant. So this one is just solid white footprint, building footprint, and that is just another contributing structure. Again, these are just some pictures of the home. Again, the applicant's present for you to, if you have any questions for him, we can swear him in, and of course he can offer any comments. And then just to let you know the guidance for the commission, a certificate of appropriateness may be delayed for up to a period of 6 months. If delayed, the commission, that being you, the commission, may negotiate with the owner, city departments, and any other parties involved in an effort to find a means of preserving the building. If you deem that you believe it needs to be delayed. In the event the commission finds that the building has no significance or value towards maintaining the character of the district, it shall waive all parts with regards to the period and authorize demolition or removal. So that is where it stands. Unless you have any questions for me, the applicant is present.
I'm slightly curious to know, like, this property you said is across from like the train station?
It's directly across from the Gateway transfer station.
Oh, the transfer, but not the old,
Not the Union
Not the old.
Station, no ma'am. If you look at your map in your packets, I'll kind of describe the block for you. So you have Walnut and Carolina Street. At the corners, what we refer to as the old hotel.
Yep.
And that building is in much need of repair, and our office is dealing with that. The applicant, we have had several times, they've tried to reach out to the owner of that to purchase, try to clean up that area. The applicant has no, or not the applicant, but the property owner of the old hotel has no desire to sell that property. The applicant owns the next vacant lots that you see for parking. The building at 106 is Wayne Electric. If you're familiar with that company, that is the applicant as well. And then the applicant is to demo and owns the 108, which I've just presented to you. And then there's two single-family homes. I believe 112 is occupied on the corner of Mulberry and Carolina Street, and 110 is vacant. And then directly across, you can it's kind of on the far left corner of the map. That is the new, or, well, I still refer to it as new, but the renovated or new Gateway transfer station, our bus. And then, so Union Station is kind of, sits right off the map to the bottom.
gotcha.
So that's kind of the makeup of that block, or the properties that front Carolina Street between Walnut and Mulberry.
As a point of reference, what's the status of 110? Did you say it's vacant? Next to a vacant property?
Today, I mean, it looked clean and, and secure. I didn't see any, but that I believe is like a brick type structure, or concrete, but I don't know the exact materials. But it looked okay. I didn't see any signs of it. It's being maintained. I didn't see any signs of it in disrepair or like it was unsecure.
And I guess you wouldn't completely know this, but at any point, is the city going to revisit trying to do something with the Union Station? Because if we make sure, if we ultimately demolition or get rid of all of the structure around it, then even if we're saying we're trying to maintain the historic part of eventually the train station, wouldn't that kind of...
The ultimate, at the end of the day, we would love for Union Station to be what it once was, and that is a multi-modal center, that area for train, for train purposes or rail. But as far as the city stance, I've not been involved with that project, but I do believe that the most recent is there was a reuse adaptive study, I believe, done for the building. I don't know if that's come back before city council or not, or where council or management may be with how we are perceived to move forward. But I do know from a DOT kind of a rail standpoint, that's a very, that's a slow process. I know that is the end and would be our ultimate goal. It's just trying to find a use for Union Station prior to rail coming. A lot of other things that have to happen before we can get the rail back to Union Station. But the city has put efforts in with DOT with, restoring the roof and doing things to secure the building. And we would like to have a short-term kind of use for it, but the long-term, I believe, would be for rail to come back and it be used as a rail transfer station.
Any questions from members of the commission about this particular property that's up for discussion?
And again, the applicant is present if you have any
And
questions
again,
for the applicant.
Mr. Pate's here. If you have a question for him, he'll be sworn in if you do. Okay. No discussion. Go ahead.
Do you plan on repurposing some of the materials from that property?
Just put your left hand on the gun. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Just step up to the podium.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Yeah, I do not have any plans to repurpose any of the building. The home it's faced several renovations over the past, I'd say, 20 years that I've worked at Wayne Electric, and I don't know that any of the materials are left or of historical significance. So I do not have any plans to reuse any of the materials.
I asked because I saw someone further down on George Street, they were actually renovating an old property. So I thought that might be, something that could help them with renovation if you were going to allow it or something.
Yes, we would be open to, if materials were needed before the demolition, yes, absolutely.
Great, thank you. Other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Pate at this time? Thank you, Jason. Okay, do I hear a motion for a approval of certificate of appropriateness?
Excuse me, Chairman, you'll need to you'll have two motions. The first one is, you would have to consider that the request does not meet the guidelines
that's right.
because it is in our bylaws and kind of our mission to maintain the historic, character and not demo buildings or dwellings. But then you still have to, or then you can make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriate if you see fit. But it does not meet our guidelines from a standpoint of demolition.
Does not.
Well, but just based on what you said, the verbiage here says request does not meet the guidelines for property improvement. Did you mean for property?
No. We refer to the Historic District Guidelines for Property Improvement.
Which
That's our guidelines.
includes the demolition. I got you.
Includes demolition. That demolition is within our entire document that we do. So therefore, our goal is to restore, renovate, that sort of thing. It's not to demo buildings. So anytime we have this is anyone that comes to us, whether the city brings a property to be demoed or an applicant comes before themselves, it would not meet the request, or the request would not meet the guideline, the Historic District guidelines. But you still, if you see fit not to delay it, you can still issue a certificate of appropriateness to allow the applicant to move forward with the demolition and not delay it for 6 months. That is completely up to the commission.
I make the motion that CA 5.
Councilman Williams, you can't make a motion. You're just here as, that's okay.
I make a motion to request, I make a motion that the property does not meet the guidelines for property improvement, but we approve it? I'm just confused.
You've always had to make two motions. Either the request meets the guidelines or it does not. So in this case,
We're
this
just making a-
request,
we're just
you're
making a motion it doesn't. Okay.
And seconding it, I need
Okay.
on that. So I've already asked for two.
I got you.
For
So I'm
two.
making a motion that the
It does not
property
meet our
does not
guidelines.
meet the guidelines for property improvement.
Yes,
Is there
ma'am.
a second?
I'll second.
Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries.
Now I need a
I
motion.
make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness
For demolition.
for demolition.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion to demolish this property at 108 North Carolina Street? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pate, thank you.
Thank
Good seeing you.
With regards to other business, I don't have any now. We're trying to, demo is something that is completely up to you. Anything that requires, other materials, I've tried not to delay meetings. Mr. Pate did request several months ago, but of course we had to wait with regards, it was kind of up in the air with regards to April meetings. So we're trying to get a little more back into the routine of things and not hold people up for requests. As far as work in the historic district, we have had several sign kind of permits and things come my way. They have all met the requirements of our guidelines, so they've been kind of improved in-house. But other than that, it's been kind of steady and slow kind of at the same time, but people are doing more work to their homes, and we're trying to keep, grass cut, things like that from our department within our area. But at this time, I have no other business.
Any other business for commission to discuss?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Cottle, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Thank you for your time today. Look forward to seeing you early part of June. If we have